And gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. If you're joining me on social media, whether that be Twitter or Facebook, make sure that you give your boy a follow. We appreciate it. Happy Friday to all those out there. I am excited about today. I just came from a cycle bar class. Anybody who's been paying any attention to me know I've been trying to keep these LBs off me, and I've done so by dedicating myself to cycling, spinning class and cycle bar, because it's less impact on the knees. I sweat my butt off, and some pretty decent tunes. So today I went this morning for an express ride. That was my 49th ride. And this afternoon for hip hop happy hour, I am going to hit 50 rides, which is pretty kick ass if you consider how long I've been spinning for since, I want to say mid-July. So essentially in 2 months, I have eclipsed, or I'm going to eclipse 50 rides. I think that's a great thing. And, sometimes you have to pat yourself on the back. And, I want to applaud the Giants for getting a win, even though I believe that, essentially, they should have lost that game. But regardless of whether they should have lost or not, they got the win. If I am Washington, I am making the call to Cam Newton today. Hey, Cam, we need you to come in. We've got a long week. We need you to get up to speed. The Taylor Heineke thing is cute, but he's a backup quarterback. And so he did what a backup quarterback's supposed to do: come in, comport themselves well. They were giving him things that they probably wouldn't have given a starting quarterback, because they were taking the lesser of two evils. And I think as people start to scheme Taylor Heineke up, it's probably not going to be the greatest for him. There's a reason why he hasn't done much in the league till now. However, it seems like guys like Taylor Heineke keep getting opportunities to be great. But then other guys are one strike and you're done, or one strike and you're 1 foot in the grave. So, I mean, just like all of the quarterbacks on Washington, it seems that that's kind of how this thing goes for them. But I want to talk about Daniel Jones and the Giants, because Daniel Jones played one of his best games that I've seen him play. I know he had a game versus Tampa Bay. If you don't know, I'm a Buccaneers fan. He had a game versus Tampa Bay his rookie year that got people all excited. And I was like, yeah, but that was a really, really poor, extremely poor Tampa Bay defense, number one. Tampa Bay still can't cover that well. But number two, it was also just, him throwing the ball all around. And before people really knew how to get any pressure on him, because that's where he's had issues at. Daniel Jones does not do well with pressure. That's why everybody keeps clamoring on the offensive line. It isn't because they can't block. It's because they can't block long enough for Daniel Jones. And so this game, it seemed as if it was a mantra. They wanted to make sure that Daniel Jones used his best asset. But ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Jones' best asset is not his arm. His best asset is not his head. His best asset is his feet, his legs. That is his A+ asset. But because his name's Daniel Jones, and because he's a tall white guy that went to Duke, people want to act as if he should be Peyton Manning, or he should be Eli Manning, or he should be Andrew Luck. And the real truth is he probably should be running an offense very similar to what Lamar Jackson runs. If Daniel Jones' name was Deontay Jones, they'd run him 15 times a game. If Daniel Jones' name was Devon Jones, if he was Derek Jones, if he was Deontay Jones, if he was a 6'1", 190-pound quarterback, if he was a 6'2", 205-pound quarterback, if he was 185 pounds and dark-skinned, they would run him more, because that's the perception that you get when you see a really athletic black quarterback, that we should run him more. The funny thing about Lamar Jackson that nobody ever talks about is that, well, not nobody, excuse me, that nobody who has anything negative to say about Lamar Jackson, no one mentions the fact that every level he's been at, he's thrown the ball a ton. He's thrown the ball a lot. They keep waiting for his completion percentage to be better, because he's the only person that completion percentage matters for. I've learned this. Lamar Jackson's the only one. Josh Allen throws for 51 or 56% or 58, 59%, 61%, doesn't matter. Lamar Jackson, it matters. Okay, cool, fine. But he's thrown the ball at every level. Guess what Daniel Jones has done at every level? Run. And run really, really well. So why not use Daniel Jones' best asset to your advantage as a team? Why? Because you've been trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And that, my friends, goes into perception. That goes into perception. I argue that Buffalo's best offense is when Josh Allen is their leading rusher. Yet, Buffalo wants Josh Allen to throw it 50 times a game. Or they're out there letting him throw it 50 times a game. And I'm like, why? If you allow Josh Allen to throw the ball 50 times a game, you're more than likely going to lose. Ipso facto. Daniel Jones, every time he runs the ball significantly, the Giants win. I don't have any stats to back that up. If I'm lying, you can tell me I'm lying. I'm okay with it. But every time I watch the Giants and Daniel Jones gets his legs involved in the game, the Giants have success. So if that's how the Giants are going to have success, why would you not just fully lean into that? Why? I'll tell you why. Because you don't want him to get hurt. Because you're looking at him like he's a Peyton Manning. You're looking at him like he's irreplaceable. I could argue that Colt McCoy could give you what Daniel Jones is giving you. Yet Colt McCoy is no longer on the team. Why is Colt McCoy no longer on the team? Because if he's there and people are watching him play well, that's going to make them think that maybe you shouldn't be going with Daniel Jones until you get Daniel Jones' legs involved. And all of a sudden, he becomes a threat to run the ball. And you know what happens when he becomes a threat to run the ball? Running lanes open up for your running back. When he becomes a threat to run the ball, the pass rush doesn't come so feverishly. Why? Because if they overrush and they open up a running lane, they're afraid that your quarterback might get out of there. This is how Lamar Jackson has helped the Baltimore offensive line over the years. The problem with Las Vegas was that Villanueva was so bad, he was getting collapsed or tricked or fooled every other play. And so there was no opportunity to create running lanes for the quarterback. And therefore, the defense got an opportunity to tee off on him. And he still made plays. Having legs as a weapon, as a quarterback, is not a sin. It's not a bad thing. And it all of a sudden doesn't make you a bad football player. It doesn't make you a bad quarterback. It makes you a different quarterback. But different is okay, because not everybody can be Tom Brady. And every time you people try to create another Tom Brady, you end up just creating a mediocre quarterback, because the genius of Tom Brady is not in the physical. Outside of the fact that he essentially must take really, really good care of his body. Wholly, because he looks great for his age. So we know he must be taking really, really good care of his body. But he's not a physical wonder. He's not fast. He doesn't jump high. He doesn't throw. He doesn't have a cannon. What he has that makes him special is in his head and in his heart. So it doesn't matter how many mediocre quarterbacks that you bring into the NFL with decent arm talent that work hard, if they're not to the level of work hard that Tom Brady is, it's not going to matter. They're going to be mediocre. They're going to be Taylor Heineke's. You're just going to keep bringing in Taylor Heineke's. Meanwhile, you have an A-plus athlete with his legs, like Daniel Jones, and you're trying to play him like Peyton Manning. You're trying to play him like Troy Aikman instead of playing him like Deontay Jones. Because I 100% guarantee you, if Daniel Jones was black, they would have more designed quarterback runs in the offense. If he was the exact same Daniel Jones that he is right now, except he was black, they'd have more designed runs. You know how I know? Because these people were out here trying to run read option with quarterbacks who have never been athletic, with quarterbacks who have never shown the propensity to run. Teddy Bridgewater was a good wide receiver in high school, but it was clear he was not an A-plus athlete. They were out there trying to run zone read with him when he was in Minnesota. He's like, dude, this isn't what I do. I deal. I'm a quarterback. I throw the ball. I make the right reads. That's what Teddy Bridgewater does. That's what he always done. They had guys out there that are black quarterbacks who are not athletic trying to run around. Why? Because they were black. Because they were like, oh, well, he must be athletic. He's a black quarterback. No, man. Meanwhile, they've been misusing supremely athletic white quarterbacks for years, not allowing them to use their athleticism, making them be statues in the pocket when they really should be guys who are on the move. If Daniel Jones was Deontay Jones, you'd have more sprint outs. If Daniel Jones was Deontay Jones, you'd have more designed QB runs. You'd be running QB power. You'd be running zone reads. You'd have more RPOs involved in the game. But why? But why? It's because the stigma isn't on them. So let's try our best to develop him in a way in which we really believe a quarterback should be developed. And what you end up with is a guy who has no identity until a game where you all of a sudden make some things happen, get him involved with his legs, and magically he looks like he has an identity. 200, about mid 200s in the passing yards, almost 100 yards rushing, or about 100 yards rushing, close to 100 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns. Like, that's who he is. Get him to not turn the ball over. That's who he is. He's not going to be your 325 yards a game for a touchdown quarterback. Stop making him Peyton Manning and allow him to be really who he is Daniel Jones. And the Giants could have an opportunity to be competitive in the NFC East. They could. But only if you embrace who he is at the core of who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me. wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on my YouTube channel, like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Peace.